You're listening to the podcast called What No One Knows. I'm your host, Lisa Marie Garcia. Please join us as I talk with some of the most important influencers, from entrepreneurs to C-suites to founders to venture capitalists. You will want to know their answer to the question, what no one knows. Thank you for joining. Hello, this is Lisa Marie Garcia, and I'm here at Wave Studio One for another recording of What No One Knows. So thank you for joining. Today I am very pleasured to be talking with Simon T. Bailey. You guys are going to love listening to the experience that he has and what he's going to share with us. I'm just going to tell you a few things because the bio is always in the show notes, as you know. But for over 2 decades, he has been advising 2,400 plus organizations across 54 countries. I always love that, multiple countries and 54. Quite amazing. He has been featured in Success Magazine as the top 25, alongside a few people we might have heard of called Tony Robbins and Brené Brown, just a few of those folks to be name dropper here. He's got an amazing experience in corporate America. We're going to talk about that and his time with Disney, and then also an amazing time as an entrepreneur. And when I say time, I'm not talking about a few years. So we're talking about a number of years. So I'm very excited for you to hear all that he has to say. And he might have written a few books. I don't know, more than 5, more than 10, 11 some books, and more on the way. So thank you so much for being in studio. Thank you.
Lisa, it's good to be with you.
Well, thanks, Simon. So let's just dig right into it. First of all, let's talk about how you and I met as mentor advisors. We both are, so that's your role here at the Tampa Bay Wave. And how we met was something called pitch practice on a Zoom. Can you share what that is for people that don't know too much about the Tampa Bay Wave?
The pitch practice is a way for you to kind of kick the tires, get feedback on your pitch before you give it to potential investors in your company. And I think the beauty of the pitch practice is it ensures that you let go of the pick-me energy and you really show up as your authentic self to share how your solution solves a problem in the world.
Yes, it's fabulous that way. And what's fun about the pitch practice is all the cohorts. So this was Tech X.
Yes.
So it was a number of different tech styles. You know, we had finance tech, we had fintech, I should say the trending word. We have fintech, we had health tech for sure, just to name a few. But they all come with their pitches, and then you go in a small breakout room,
yes.
right? And our team, were you on our team? We started a little bit late. Yes.
Yes.
We started a little bit late. So I think I saw 3 of them. How many cohorts did you think you saw?
I did one specifically, okay. But we were able to go deep and really give some critical feedback.
Yeah. It's so fun. So because, they're practicing on us. And then we can, like you said, dig into, where you see the improvement can happen. And what I really like about it as well is, it's that fresh set of eyes or that fresh set of ears, like as a book author, when you have a proofer read it for the first time, they see things that you might have had 10 beta readers, 10 proofers, your editors, and you're like, how did we miss it? I stopped saying that. How did we? I just accept it, right? Because that fresh set of ears and eyes, especially on the pitch practice, really is that perspective of, hang on, I really didn't understand what you were trying to say here. And especially, just to finish my rant here apparently, especially where in, these startups, these entrepreneurs in the tech field, they speak tech, right? Which is a different language than, I haven't been in tech for many years, and plus I was probably never had as big a brain as them tech-wise, but what's your perspective on that?
I think the great thing is during the pitch practice, we get to be a mirror to reflect back to them what they are sharing and to simplify it and to truly demystify what they've come up with. So it's a perfect way to ensure that you hit the ball out of the park.
Yeah, no, it's great. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's cool that now they do it in Zoom. They used to do it years ago in person, and it's just as effective, if not maybe more, because you can record and take notes. But yeah, so how has your experience thus far then with being in the Wave, being a mentor advisor with them?
I love the Tampa Bay Wave because it's like the Silicon Valley by the beach, by the ocean.
Right. Without the traffic.
Without the traffic. And if you think about it, I think number one, they have given a platform for individuals who have a startup idea that literally can change the world. Number two, because of being a part of the wave, you experience the power of serendipity, where you have an idea, but you might bump into others who are working on something totally different. And their brilliance, your brilliance over a conversation during a networking event stretches that idea even more. But I think the third thing is the wave connects the dots with investors and individuals who are subject matter experts, who have know-how in specific industries to cut down the learning curve of these startup founders. So I just think the wave is absolutely brilliant.
Yes. Oh, you 100% hit on it. We hear over and over on the show, especially about how the wave brought the right people in. And then you hit on the serendipity of it, is that someone's talking about something and it's exactly what you needed to hear. I call that God's idea, but there's that. Okay, so please share with us. I love about your background, the time that you had with big business, with enterprise size business, and that was about 15 some years, and then 20 plus as an entrepreneur. First of all, can you give us the background of your time and how you got in with Disney? And that's always a fun story to how you started in a young career and where you landed in that experience.
Wow, 10 interviews, a 10-page psychological analysis from Gallup to see if I had the right stuff over a 2-year period. Like, who would still interview after a 2-year period? But I knew it was where I was supposed to be. And probably one of the most challenging, most fulfilling organizations that I've ever worked for. Disney really challenged me. And even though I sniffed the pixie dust, I really found a way to understand the business case behind why they do what they do. And it's really formed who I am as an entrepreneur today. But I think probably the 3 takeaways from Disney is excellence is early, always create a magical moment, and then never settle for the status quo. Because if you do, you will become roadkill. So this ability to fail forward and pick up and keep moving.
Never settle for the status quo. I love that. I love that so much. So let's talk about transition. I mean, how did you transition from corporate America to say, hey, I'm hanging my shingle and we're going to go full throttle on everything Simon T. Bailey?
Oh my goodness. Well, I committed career suicide because when you work at Disney, you never talk to the media unless authorized. And December 10th, 2001, I'm sitting at my desk and I get a call from a journalist and he says to me, where do you see yourself 10 to 15 years from now? And I said, I see myself as the president and CEO of the Walt Disney World Resort and eventually the chairman and CEO of the Walt Disney Company. So he puts this in print. True story. The article comes out, page 12, Florida Business Trend magazine, February 2002, and there's my picture with the Mickey Mouse topiary behind me saying, I wanted to be the guy.
Oh my gosh.
And my boss calls me in the office. He's like, dude, what were you thinking when you did this interview? And I said, Larry, I work at this company whose motto is, if your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme for when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are, but obviously it does here. Funny today, not funny then.
Right.
So that became my catalyst to finding my happiness elsewhere.
So such a great lesson too, that that shut door is really an open window, and that what you think is done for harm is actually the best thing that happened to you, because it sounds like it was the best thing that happened to you.
Best decision ever. In fact, I ran into the president and CEO of Disney not too long ago. He was president then, a guy named Al Weiss. And I said, hi, Al. He said, hi, Simon. He said, I see it's going really well. I said, yes, sir. There is life after Disney.
Well, and, again, what the mentality then might have been versus, now people would be like applauding, of course. And really, it was your ambition and goals, not a negative thing, but yet it was perceived negative then, what would they expect?
Sure.
You believed in it and you believed in yourself.
I
So
was
you're like,
34, had a lot of ego, edging goodness out.
well, there is that balance of ego and not ego,
Yes.
yeah. But so, all right. So tell us then about what your first enterprise and what did you encounter
Yeah,
the
my
first
first
couple of years?
enterprise as a consultant to help companies with their customer experience. So I had a chance to work with a hospital whose patient satisfaction scores, Press Ganey, were not where they needed to be. And being a new minute entrepreneur, I said, I can help you.
Right.
I didn't know. I had an idea, but I truly didn't know. But I had really smart people around me. We had worked together at Disney, and we were able to help this hospital not only increase their patient satisfaction scores, but they were acquired by a $1 billion health system because of what we implemented. The president and CEO rolled off into the sunset. They said, thank you very much.
Right.
And everything that I created for them, I was able to retain the IP so that I could rinse and repeat and sell it to another organization. So literally, that's how I started.
Right out of the gate, you got what is so important, especially for a new company, to get that the experience and the referenceable account, and to say this is what I've done. That doesn't always come so easily, or it wasn't easy. I'm sure you worked your butt off for it,
Of course.
but why do you think that you had that? But even with that, doesn't mean that's pure success for you to stay in it. And I know you write about resilience. And that, what would you think, were traits and qualities that kept you in the game as you were continuing to build as an entrepreneur?
So this is going to sound a little bit contradictory, but it's never about money, even though it's about money. If you go into business to chase a dollar, you will always be chasing the dollar and the goalposts will move. But if you go into business to say, who can I serve? What difference can I make? What value can I add? What you will discover is money starts to chase you. Opportunities, doors open because you're in it for the right reason. That's number one. Number two, it's also recognizing that the people that you work with, how do you help elevate them and help them become better? Because if it's just about you, people can pick up on that energy a mile away,
Yeah.
where you are self-serving instead of selfless in how you show up. And I think the third thing is when you find a way to give a little something extra for the customer, they begin to realize that you are different so that you can make a difference. And they will begin to yelp about your brand because it's not just about you, it is about those you serve.
So much there. I'm writing furiously, trying to get it all in there. But 100%. I agree with you to a point in what you said in terms of people can sense if you're about yourself or not. Some people don't necessarily sense that. And they just keep, plowing down the road and that. But definitely, you can tell by a conversation, even a simple conversation when you're meeting someone, whether it's all about them and they, are oblivious to things around them, so to speak, from what you're observing. You kind of wish for them that they would see it and recognize it, because it's probably not totally who they are, but they don't understand it. They don't see it. So that's definitely part of what I've observed from the time we've known each other, that you're an active listener. You really are trying to understand, or you do understand as you're talking with someone, what's going on with them. And that's such a huge skill in success for entrepreneurs. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that in terms of, what do you think is, one of the best people type skills that new entrepreneurs, new startups can have as they're building their team, as they're cultivating new clients? Because I think that's not talked about very much.
I think the number one skill is authentic listening instead of selective hearing. The same letters that spell the word listen spell the word silent. So when we are in a conversation, if I'm reading the tea leaves of the Times or reading the room, I understand when I slow down to the speed of a moment and say, I just heard you say this. Is this what you meant?
Right.
Let's double click on that. Let's drop a pen in that and go a little bit deeper. What that does for a person, they feel seen, valued, and understood. And science says that the conversation will become like a tennis match, serve and volley, because you're listening to really understand instead of listening to respond. And that core skill as an entrepreneur allows you not only be emotionally intelligent, but to advance the conversation because of the power of listening.
Yeah, no, 100%. I've got a couple daughters in university, and I was just talking to one the other day about getting a minor in psychology or something that's human, based, because that is such an important skill. And unfortunately, if you don't have that education, then you learn the hard way.
Yes.
And hopefully you learn it, like you said, fail fast. But I thought you were going to say, when you talked about being seen, valued, and heard, I thought you were going to talk about the studies that show that people will stay at a job because of those factors versus income as well. And it's, do they feel value? They'll
Yes.
take less dollars for value, yet people still don't get it. Employers don't get it. Raise their pay. If they're not valued, if they're not heard, if they don't feel like they're seen, it's a huge drawback in a workplace.
Yes, that's why I think everyone listening to us, certainly those who are leaders, is to understand hearing is a courtesy, but listening is a compliment. And how do we begin to compliment individuals, whether we're in corporate America or if we are doing a startup, running our own business, truly listening at that deeper level?
Very cool. Agree much. Let's talk about, before we leave this, I do want you to tell the listeners, what do you think is a lesson, as a business lesson or entrepreneur lesson, that you had to learn, not the hard way, but had to learn through your experience, that you saw firsthand, and it's really now, so important to you as something that you've learned from and changed from?
Customer service is a department, but customer love is a mindset. So I got a call from my old boss at Disney, and he says, hey, I want you to go to lunch with Michael. And I knew Michael was an insurance person, and he was going to try to sell me insurance. So Michael says, meet me at the Bay Hill Country Club. And I meet him at the Bay Hill Country Club, built by Arnold Palmer. We're sitting there talking, and I see an older gentleman hunched over, and I said, that's Arnold Palmer. So I get up, I go over to Arnold Palmer. I said, thank you for being a great American. Thank you for what you've done for the game of golf. And Arnold Palmer looks at me and says, thank you, young man. And I proceed to take out my cell phone to take a selfie, but I didn't know in this private country club, you don't take pictures with Arnold Palmer. So I put my phone back because I heard the entourage kind of showing up, and I heard the song, Bad Boys, what you gonna do? What's it got for you?
That's funny.
So I go back and I'm sitting with Michael. He's turned flush red. He's like, what are you doing? There are no pictures allowed with Arnold Palmer. And we laughed off that day. And he didn't try to sell insurance to me. A couple weeks later, Liza, I'm at an event and I'm about to leave the stage. And the host said, you can't leave the stage. I'm like, why can't I leave the stage? And she takes out of this bag this hat from the Bay Hill Country Club that had been autographed by who? Arnold Palmer. I didn't know Michael was in the audience that day. And we took a picture afterward. We relived how I totally embarrassed myself at his country club. But here's the lesson that I learned. He didn't try to sell insurance to me that day. Second time meeting. The third time, Arnold Palmer had passed away, and I called Michael and says, oh my goodness, can you believe Arnold Palmer passed away? And I said, guess what? I am ready to buy. And he says, why are you buying? I said, because Michael, you understand, when you sell, that's a transaction. But when you connect, that's a relationship. So the business lesson is, when I choose to build a relationship, I relate to the cargo in the ship. He related that I had this emotional connection with Arnold Palmer, and he took it upon himself to say, I'm going to give you something that's memorable. So here's the research. Gallup says 70% of human decision-making is emotional, 30% rational. So when people emotionally connect with your brand, the research says they spend more, they pay a higher margin, and they will tell others about it. So the business lesson is, how do I become an emotionologist and begin to connect with the emotions of those that I'm looking to serve?
Emotionologist. Love it. Hashtag. Fantastic. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about just a little bit ago, as far as don't chase the money. Don't chase the money. And I'm not sure, but I'll just speak from my own experience. I have lost money. I have spent money that I didn't necessarily mean to, but walked away just to try something, just to maybe, but fine, where I've met people that won't spend $5 because they're chasing the money, and they won't even take the chance. And it drives me nuts. But here you go, here you say it's about the relationship. It's not about the, it's not about the transaction. I love that story so much. And there you go, and not only that, but you said people will not only recommend you to other people, but they'll continue with you for years and years unless something happens, negative, they'll just continue with you.
What we have to appreciate about the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, is that he and Charlie Munger they played the long game.
Yeah.
They built relationships with every company that they bought. They just didn't get in and get out.
Right.
And I think this ability to say, how do we play the long game?
I love that. That's a very great experience lesson. So, all right, I knew we were going to go fast through this. Let me, gosh, there's so much. Well, I want to talk about your books because it's very few and far between when I meet someone that says, oh, and you didn't say this, but when I read that you've written 11 books. And then actually we've got the Resilient, I don't know if this will show, the Resilience at Work book, but you have another one pending. What is the name of that book?
The new book is all around brilliance. I won't give the name away, but
Okay.
It's all
Working
about
title.
brilliance. Yes, working title.
Okay.
How do we really tap into our brilliance, which is our creativity, confidence, and competence?
Very cool. And that will be out in 2025.
Yes.
All right, so everyone connect with him. Your LinkedIn connection will be in there.
2026, actually.
Oh, 2026.
Yeah,
Okay.
2026, yeah.
No, we're halfway done
I
with
know,
this year. It's
it's
crazy. So talk about, we'll just spend a moment on this, but there's many people that have been told they should write a book, that know they should write a book, that are trying to write a book. What advice would you give as a, multiple published, clearly prolific writer to them?
Start with 300 words, if not daily, weekly. Just 300 words. Don't judge it. Don't try to figure out. Don't try to see if it's grammatically correct. Just start. Once you start that process, before you know it, at the end of the year, if you've written 300 words consistently every week, you probably have the first draft of your book. But it's that consistency. Chunk it down. Because so many times people are like, oh my goodness, I got to write 30 to 40,000 words.
Right.
How about we just start with 300? A little becomes a lot over a long period of time.
I'm gonna publish that tip. If you don't do a video about it, I'm doing one. I've not heard that before, and it's great. We say this to prospective authors. Don't edit it. You're not an editor. You're not a skilled editor. Don't edit it. Don't go back over it, and because you're trying to make it better, you're not necessarily a skilled writer to the level that our editors, are. Like you said, we say, download the content. And then the 300 words a week, you're right. You'll have your manuscript before you know it, and then you're ready to publish. So Thank you for that advice. Great advice. And congratulations on your 11 books so far and what you're doing there. And so I'm going to have to ask you our last question, what the hashtag of our show, what no one knows. Can you share with us something that very little humans, if any, might know about you? What does no one know about Simon T. Bailey?
Oh my goodness.
It's
Wow.
a big question.
Well, I would say after going through divorce, being diagnosed with prostate cancer, dealing with a $500,000 IRS tax debt, that you can come back from all of it, because it's not who you are that holds you back, it's who you think you're not that holds you back. And I have bounced back from all three of those that I've teed up. And there is someone listening to us right now where you don't know if you have the wherewithal to keep going. And I just want to remind you, the reason you weren't born in the 18th century is because you weren't needed. You exist now in this 21st century because when you fail, understand that in the dictionary, failure comes before success. So you must go through this path of whatever you're dealing with for who you will become in the process. You've got this. You will make it, because resilience is your faith pulling you to a future that is waiting for you like a magnet. So keep going, keep moving forward, because what you're going through, it's not about you. It's about everyone connected to you now in the present and who you will meet in the future that will say, welcome, we've been waiting for you.
You can come back. I don't even want to add to your words because your words were so great. It's been my pleasure to interview you. I can't wait to broadcast this podcast, and thank you for being here, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our show, What No One Knows. If you'd like more information regarding our guests, it's in the description below, as well as if you'd like to work with our publishing and promotion team, that you can also find in the links. Thank you.